Hello there, YouTube. My name is the Classic Reviewer, and welcome back to another movie review. This week I'll be reviewing another old Hollywood movie. The last old Hollywood movie I reviewed was, ironically, the first one I made, the first video I ever put up, and that was the review of Wizard of Oz with, Judy Garland in it. Today I'm going to be reviewing a more recently discovered old Hollywood film of mine. I discovered this about probably probably about a year and a half ago. So before I reveal it, does anyone want to have a guess? Nope, it's not James Stewart movie. It's not Jimmy Stewart. It's not. No, it's not Rita Hayworth. Yes, it is a Alfred Hitchcock movie. It is Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho from 1960, I believe. Got some notes here. Help me, because I have only seen this movie a couple of times. I'm still a bit hazy on a few details. And today I'm only going to be doing like a movie summary. I'm not going to do what I usually do with these things, going into every detail, because I find I'm just rambling on a lot and too much. And anyways, that's all the rambling I'm going to be doing. So, just quickly show you. There's my Psycho disc on the back cover here. Yep. So this movie has Janet Leigh, who is playing Marion Crane. That's it, Marion Crane in this movie. Alright, and that's Alfred Hitchcock's signature there, I believe. So I'll put you down and let's get on with the review. So it starts off with Marion Crane, who's played by Janet Leigh again, who happens to be a secretary in a real estate firm in Philadelphia, I believe. Philadelphia. Hold on. Sorry about that. I've just checked my sources. It's not Philadelphia. It's Phoenix, Arizona. I don't know why I was thinking Philadelphia, but anyways, oh yeah, and by the way, this movie was based off the book, the 1959 book with the same title, Psycho, written by written by no, it doesn't matter. Anyways, let's just get on with the movie review. So, basically, Marion and her boyfriend, Sam Loomis, I believe that is, it starts off with them discussing, like, Sam's debts and how they are unable to get married because he owes too much money to a certain group of people. So, yeah. And then after the lunch, Marion goes back to work, and as she's going back to work for lunch, this wealthy client drops off $40,000, $40,000, I assume, deposit on a property, or maybe he's just buying the property, I'm not sure. Yeah, drops that money off, so Marion asks her boss. No, her boss asks her to deposit that money in the local bank, because it's not like today where, everything's on credit cards, smartphones and that. It was actual cash, and it actually had to be hand-delivered to a bank, which, depending where you were, could be close, it could be miles away, so yeah, so she goes and does that, And then, yeah, so she also asks her boss for the rest of the afternoon off. Her boss lets her take the rest of the afternoon off, provided that she does drop the money safely into the bank. She agrees. And as she's as she starts as she's driving, basically, like, she decides that, she's not going to deposit the money in the bank. Rather, she'd use it to help her boyfriend with his debt problems so they can get married. Not the most honest thing or ethical thing, but regarding her circumstances, you can understand in her desperation why she thought it was an idea worth doing. So, instead of going to the bank, she starts driving to her boyfriend's place, who lives in California. Yeah, California. And along the and because it's a long drive for her, she has to stop overnight in she has to pull over on the side of the road and basically sleeps in the car for the night. And when she wakes up in the morning, she gets this police officer walks up to her, like, wondering what she's doing, like, just sleeping in the middle of, well, on the side of the road, and because she sees the officer and is automatically nervous, thinking that, that somebody's noticed that the $40,000, which back in the day could easily have been $200,000-$300,000 today's money. Don't quote me on that. I'm by no means an expert in money exchange, but yeah. So, and because of how nervous she was, like, the policeman gets suspicious of her and starts tailing her for a bit. So she pulls into an automobile trading place and trades her car for another car, so that hopefully the cop stops following her, which he does, because different car, you can't recognize it and all that. So yeah, and then that night she stops in at the Bates Motel, which is where most of the action happens in this movie, is the Bates Motel. So she goes in there, signs in, meets the the owner of the hotel, Norman Bates, who seems nice, a little weird, but on first glance, like, there's no real red flags on meeting him. I'm saying this because this is important to the plot later. Yeah, he doesn't sleep in the hotel himself. He lives in a house that's on a hill overlooking the hotel, so he asks her to join him for some dinner, which she reluctantly agrees to, seeing as she's the only guest at the hotel. And yeah, so he tells her story of him living with his mother. His mother is what they would back in the day call crazy lunatic. Should be better off in an asylum or somewhere like that. But he keeps her with him because he feels like he's the only family that she can trust, basically. And after dinner, Marion goes back to the hotel and goes back to her room and goes in for a shower. While she's having her shower, Norman's mum creeps into her room, pulls open the shower curtain, and murders her in a crazed fit of rage. She does this because it's out of jealousy sort of thing, because another woman has come into Norman's life, and she feels like she should be the only love that she feels like he should only ever love her. Like, obviously, mother-son relationship, it's different to any other sort of relationship, but yeah, love is still love, regardless. And yeah, in a enraged fit, she stabs Marion quite a few times. And then, a while later, Norman. Yeah, Norman takes the body out of the bath, loads it into into the back of Marion's car, and basically cleans up the evidence from the shower room. Like, so this point in the movie, when I first watched it, it became apparent that this was a practice routine, that this wasn't the first time this sort of thing had happened, because, you know, how Norman's just like all blasé about his mother killing some guest. And, I mean, honestly, when he knows she has $40,000 on her, you can. There's immediate, like, motivation to murder and cover up, pretty much. So, yeah, they kind of worked in a tag team. She killed him, and he's the body and evidence remover. And so, basically, he takes her car out to a swamp, lets it run into the swamp, and it sinks into the swamp so that all evidence is accounted for. And, you know, like, nothing happens for a week. Sorry. Nothing happens for a week, until Marion's sister, Leela, I forget. It's been a little while since I watched this movie. Basically goes up to Sam and demands to know where her sister is. He has no idea, so they hire a private investigator who confirms that the $40,000 was stolen by Marion. They never reached the bank, and so yeah, pretty much she's been proven as like criminal sort of thing. And, you know, it's just sort of an investigation of, okay, where did she disappear to and why has she disappeared? So, following a bunch of leads, the investigator Milton Arbogast, sorry, I forgot to mention that. Milton eventually stumbles across the Bates Motel, and he talks to Norman about Marion, and he dodges every question that Milton asks him, like trying to change the subject, just basically trying to get the heat away from him, which makes Milton very suspicious that he has some sort of connection to Marion, knowing where she is and why she's disappeared and that. So he goes back later that night to have a little private look around, and as he is looking around the hotel, Norman's mother comes into the room and murders him. So he gets the same treatment as Marion, like his car. He's dumped in his car, and his car gets dumped in the swamp, nearby swamp sort of thing. So then Sam and Lila, whichever, yeah, they start wondering where the investigator's gone, and they talk to Norman again. He's very dodgy of the questions. He very evasive as well. And then later on, they also get attacked. No, sorry. They go to visit a psychiatric, I think, or he visits them, whichever one, and he confirms that basically Norman's mother has been dead for 10 years, which something that really surprised me first time watching it, because it did seem to be like two different characters, but what actually happened was she killed herself, and because Norman couldn't live without her, basically recreated her in his mind so that she essentially became a second personality of him, pretty much. So he would dress up in his mother's clothes and kill the victims, and then redress as himself and hide the evidence and that sort of thing. I believe he at least 2 or 3 other people before Marion and Milton, which explains going back to my earlier point of how blasé they were about the whole situation. They had a whole system worked out. And so Sam and Lila, whichever her name is, they go back and fight Norman mother for one last time, and they end up killing them. They end up killing him, her, them, whichever. And eventually they do find Marion's car stuffed in sunk in the swamp, and and they find Marion's body in the boot of it, and of course they recover the 40,000 which Norman had taken from Marion after he killed them, pretty much. So that is the story of Psycho, 1960s Alfred Hitchcock Psycho, in a quick summary video. Psycho is the only Alfred Hitchcock movie I've seen, and